Season 4, Episode 2 of From just flipped the entire mystery on its head because the man in yellow, aka Sophia, is not a normal villain. He doesn't just kill, he stages events, controls reactions, and somehow he might not even be the author of the story. Which means if Fromville really is a constructed reality pulled from a children's storybook, then it's time to stop asking what this place is and start asking who wrote it, because it's clearly not the man in yellow. And today I'm breaking down 5 clues you probably missed that expose what's really going on in Fromville and who might actually be writing it. I'll also be discussing a few questions that I have after watching this episode. But before we get started, let me introduce myself if you're new here. And if you're not new here, then welcome back. My name is Brandy, and I realize that you could be on any channel in the world, but you're right here with me, and I really do appreciate that. So please go ahead and like this video. It really does help the channel out, and I greatly appreciate it. And also, subscribe to the channel if you do enjoy watching TV show reviews. Clue number 1 is how Jim's body was discovered. This wasn't just a misdirection. This was an activation of Julie and Ethan. As I mentioned in my last From video, if Fromville is a storybook modeled after Ethan's book, The Chronicle, then certain events have to take place. And somebody has to enforce the narrative. And the enforcer, in my opinion, is the man in yellow. But he is not the author of the storybook. But we'll talk more about that a little later. Now, the man in yellow, he didn't just kill Jim. He staged a sequence. Now, this method proves something big. If Fromville is an experiment or simulation based off of a storybook, then it's not just trapping people, it's scripting them. Because what happens here isn't random, it's programmed. We all saw the bloody bag. It shows up outside of the Matthews household. Everyone assumes that it's Jim's dead body, and Tabitha, she sends Julie and Ethan off to the barn. She's trying to protect them from seeing a gruesome sight. But the bag is not Jim's body, it's actually the body of a dead barn animal. But at the same time, the kids run straight into the barn and they find Jim's dead body hanging upside down. And that's not a misdirect, that's control. So the question right now isn't why did the man in yellow kill Jim? The question is more so, why make the kids find him? Because that moment right there changed them. The man in yellow knew children finding their father's dead body would traumatize them and make them take certain actions. And by the end of the episode, we see that Ethan is getting instructions from the ghost of Jim. And we see Julie is trying to story walk to save her father. And that's not just grief, that's activation. And what this means is in From, events aren't random, as we've all probably figured out by now. They're engineered. So this moment wasn't just about Jim's death, it was about who experiences it and how they experienced it and what it unlocks next. And Jim wasn't just killed, he was flipped upside down, like his search for answers got turned on its head. And I'm sure that the author of the storybook took into consideration that Tabitha was having these visions of Jim's dead body hanging upside down way back in season 1. So the man in yellow didn't just set a trap, he set a trigger. So this feels less like a random attack and more like a programmed event that had to occur according to the storybook. And if that's true, then the man in yellow, aka Sophia, isn't the author of the story. He's just a runner carrying out instructions. And the man in yellow enforcing the way events unfold is one thing, but we also saw Sophia manipulating people in real time, which leads me to clue number 2. Did you guys notice that when Kenny woke up, that he immediately grabbed his chest? He grabbed his chest as if Sophia was the one to put him to sleep. And I didn't clock that until this episode. But when I went back and watched season 4, episode 1, I noticed that when Sophia was holding hands with Kenny and praying, she said,
"Be with them tonight, O Lord, and let your love give them rest."
So I think one of Sophia's powers is putting people to sleep. Now, I knew that Sophia, aka the man in yellow, can induce seizures, and we saw her wake up the priest from his coma, but I didn't realize until this episode that she actually made Kenny go to sleep. In addition to seeing Kenny touch his chest, we also know that Kenny is usually pretty sharp, and why would he fall asleep in the clinic with a new arrival when he knows that the new arrival might do something stupid to get them all killed. And Sophia probably had to put Kenny to sleep because she was outside handling a lot of business. She had to string Jim's body up. She had to string the goat or the ram's body up on top of the motel sign. She was very busy in the night while Kenny was sleeping. Although I do suspect that she had some help from the monsters. Comment down below and let me know what you think of that as well. But I do think that Sophia was carrying out a certain narrative when she lured Kenny outside. He runs outside and he says, "You're not supposed to be out here." And he saves her in the nick of time. So she was pretending to be a damsel in distress. Although it didn't seem like the monsters were coming after Sophia until Kenny arrived, right? So what I think Sophia / the man in yellow's objective is with Kenny is to get Kenny on her good side. Let's think about this. Sophia has nobody there in Fromville with her. Her daddy died. She doesn't have any family or friends whatsoever. So I think that she just wants to make Kenny an ally, make Kenny feel as though he has to protect her. And we see that Kenny is already stepping into that role somewhat. When he introduced Sophia to Sarah, he was hesitant to let Sarah take Sophia to the diner storage room. It's like he wanted to do it himself. And real quickly, let's talk about that scene in the diner storage room, because this gave me another reason why the man in yellow really isn't in charge. When Sophia sees the ballerina figurine, we see a clear reaction on her face. She looks as if she's in awe of the object, like maybe she read about the object before, but she never actually saw it in person. And we know that the ballerina in From has been tied to visions and control. So if the man in yellow is reacting to seeing the ballerina, then that right there tells me that there are parts of Fromville that maybe he heard about or read about, but he hasn't fully experienced in person. I also got the same feeling when Sophia was trying on the different glasses and when she realized that all of the objects in the storage room belonged to previous residents of Fromville. She studies the glasses, she tries them on, and the camera lingers on Sophia at the end of that storage room scene where she's twirling the glasses around. It's as if she's just processing like, I have access to all of these objects in this storage room. I don't only have to be Sophia. Maybe I'm able to shapeshift into anybody whose belongings are in this storage room. So he's studying the system, he's using it, and he's moving people through it. But even he reacts to certain pieces and certain objects like they're bigger than him, which means he's not the one running Fromville. He's just operating inside of it. And I did notice something else very significant in that storage room, but I have to save that for clue number 5 because it ties into another clue as well. And clue number 3 is Julie looking at her story walking ability through somewhat of a scientific lens instead of just a supernatural lens. Julie essentially did a science experiment right at the ruins. She told Randall to come along with her, but it was not only for her protection that she wanted him there. She wanted to use him as a control. The moment you bring science into this, Fromville stops looking like a curse and starts looking more like something that was built. And she just wanted to find out, is this something that anybody else can do or is this just me? And I love that she sent Randall in first and we see that he does not have the story walking ability. And the results of Julie's story walking practice were very powerful, but she does need help. And I'll get to that in just a minute, who she needs help from. She goes back into season 2, episode 9, when Jim, Boyd, and Donna were in the RV, and she goes back and she tries to save her dad, but she ends up getting attacked by the waitress monster. And in real life, she's actually seizing and Randall has to pull her out of the ruins. And thankfully he was there. And here's what makes this clue so interesting, because Ethan and the man in yellow have already told Julie that she cannot change the story. But she doesn't listen. She keeps trying, she keeps pushing, and she keeps trying to break something that won't bend. And to me, what this means is Julie isn't just time traveling, but she's stress testing the system. She's finding out that she could enter the past events. She can experience them again, but she may not be able to rewrite them right at this time. But let's talk about who she needs help from. Julie really needs to link up with Jade. Let's think about Jade's background. Before they ever got trapped in From, He built and sold a quantum tech company. So Jade, he's wired to think along the lines of systems, patterns, and nonlinear reality. So Julie has the ability to story walk, but Jade has the framework to explain it and help her execute it properly. And we all saw on this episode that Jade is really opening up. He told Boyd everything he knew. He showed Boyd all of his notes. So if we could match those two together with their skill sets, I really think that these people can escape from. And I'll go on to say this too. A lot of people are doubtful that the townspeople will ever escape. But I really still do have hope because, again, I'm not just thinking of this from a supernatural standpoint. I'm thinking about the science behind it being a simulation, it being an experiment, and that I think can be broken. I'm also hopeful that they can escape because of clue number 4 and clue number 5. Clue number 4 being the Lake of Tears. The Lake of Tears was introduced to us in season 1, episode 1. And the showrunners of From have always said that the answers are in the beginning. So at the end of this episode, the ghost of Jim tells Ethan that the Lake of Tears is here and I need you to find it. But here's the thing. Again, that location didn't come out of nowhere. Ethan saw it in a dream the first night that they arrived. And the Lake of Tears is also mentioned in his book, The Chromanocle. But we first hear little Ethan mention the Lake of Tears before they even knew that they were trapped in Fromville. Julie and Ethan were playing with finger puppets in the RV, and one of the monsters killed Norman, Ethan's puppet. And Ethan asked Julie, the fairies are coming from the Lake of Tears, right? They're gonna make him better. They're gonna bring him back. And Julie says to him jokingly, like the big sister that she is, she says, no, because once you're dead, you're dead. Sorry. But then Tabitha, she's trying to console Ethan. So she comes to the back of the RV to talk to him, to ask him why he's so sad. And he tells her Julie killed Norman. And she said, well, how did he die? And Ethan explains that the monsters killed Norman. And Tabitha says,
there's no such thing as monsters, honey. And if there's no such thing as monsters, then that means that Norman's still alive, doesn't it?
So based off of that conversation between Ethan and his mom and Ethan and Julie, I do think that the Lake of Tears is a good thing. But focusing more so on what Tabitha said, that monsters aren't real and that Norman isn't dead, that really makes me lean more into the theory that this is a simulation, Fromville that is an experiment, a constructed reality of sorts. And the bodies that we see, the people that we see laying dead, they aren't really dead. And at the end of season 5, it'll be revealed that these people were simply placed somewhere else and that no one actually really died. And listen, I know that's a reach, and I know maybe it was a few casualties along the way in this science experiment, but again, just Tabitha saying that and then focusing now on the Lake of Tears and Ethan's quest just makes me just double down on the feeling that science or an experiment is involved. And guys, if you follow the news, then you know right now that 11 scientists are missing. There are some creepy things that are going on. Even Elon Musk, he said it himself that we're probably living in a simulation. And these writers and the creators of the shows, they usually pull things straight from the headlines, but I don't think Fromville is a real place. I do think it has something to do with science at this time. Again, I reserve the right to change my mind after the next episode if I feel like it. But let's move on to clue number 5. And clue number 5 that also gives me hope that my people will escape Fromville is the symbolism in this episode around boats. In the beginning of this episode, when Boyd is talking to Algin, you can see the calendar in the background in Donna's room. And if you look really closely, I'll put a picture on the screen. Not the best quality here, but to me, that looks like an overturned boat, a blue and white boat. It also looks like a fallen tree is in this picture as well. But if you combine that with a blue and white boat that I saw in a storage room when Sarah and Sophia were talking, maybe the writers are trying to tell us something. And listen, the boat theory is something that I can get behind. A lot of people online theorize that the boat is the way out. Specifically, some people say it needs to be Boyd's boat. But something about that symbolism of seeing two similar looking boats in two different scenes and them reintroducing the Lake of Tears on this episode was very telling for me. But also, any of you smart people in the comments, look at this calendar. What is this calendar trying to tell us as well? And this isn't the first time that I've seen this calendar. I've seen it in other episodes as well. However, the camera angles on this episode really focus on the calendar behind Boyd's head. And when you look closely, days are crossed out. The markings feel chaotic, almost obsessive. And one specific date is even circled. And I think the year is 1970. What is that, a 1 maybe? But anyway, this isn't organization, it's desperation. This looks like someone is trying to track time, prove time is still moving, or figure out why time is not moving anymore. But my big question is, why would anybody need a calendar in Fromville? Why does Donna have a calendar in her room? Nobody celebrates birthdays. I mean, we did see them celebrate Fatima's anniversary, but that's about it. Other than that, I'm not sure why Donna would have a calendar in her bedroom where time isn't even real in Fromville. I mean, they go based off of when the sun goes down. That's a real thing. But as far as time, as the way you and I deal with time, Fromville is a whole different beast in that respect. Now let's move on to the questions that I have. First question, obviously, is who is the author of this Fromville storybook? Now, this episode really reinforced for me that the man in yellow is not in charge. And I don't know who the ultimate entity is, but we did hear when Ethan was talking about the Lake of Tears, he was saying that he saw a lot of the drawings on the walls, but he was talking to his mom and Julie, and the conversation was interrupted because a spider came crawling down the wall. And we all know about all of the references to spiders in From. And one of my friends in the comments actually mentioned that he thinks that Henry is the author of the story per se. But guys, comment down below. Let me know who you think is in charge. Is it somebody right in front of us? If I had to choose somebody that's a character that we see on From every episode, I would have to say my boy Jade. And you guys know, I mentioned before, Jade is my favorite character. Now, I do not think that he would have constructed this reality on purpose, but being that his background is in quantum physics, so he has that science background, he could have done something unintentionally, maybe created some type of alternate reality. So my bet would be on Jade. But again, unintentional, and I still think that Jade is going to be key to getting answers, to getting them out of Fromville. My second guess is maybe that it's not like an author per se, but maybe it's all being shaped through Ethan, his book, his perspective, and his understanding of the world. Next question is, where is Fatima? We did not see her this entire episode. Everybody that was with her before she went into the bathroom to take a shower, we saw them this episode. So did they leave her all alone? I just hope that she's okay, although she is not my favorite character. I'm actually not fond of her or Alice, but I do hope that she's okay. Why did Acosta get so much screen time? That would be my one complaint about this episode, is that she got way too much screen time, and her character is very aggravating. Although her actions, I'm not really mad at her actions, her trying to find a way out of Fromville, because she didn't get that experience to keep riding around in circles until she figured out that it was a trap. But my question is, what are they setting her up for? It seems like she's going to play a bigger role, but what role could that be? And one more question, what was the ghost of Jim looking at in the woods? I love their conversation, by the way, so sweet, but Jim kept looking around as if he was nervous to tell Ethan the information about the Lake of Tears, and then he just suddenly disappeared when we heard Tabitha's voice calling Ethan in the background. So I'm just curious if Jim saw maybe an entity coming that Ethan couldn't see. Did he see the boy in white? I want to know more about the ghost of Jim. That's all I have, guys. Please, as always, comment down below your theories. I love reading all of your theories. And let me know any symbolisms you saw. Did you notice anything fishy in that storage room? And do you think that Sarah is going to be the one to clock Sophia, aka the man in yellow? But listen, I love all of you. If you made it this far in the video, please drop me down below a blue heart, and I will see you on the next From analysis. You guys stay safe out there. Peace.